I don't know how much wisdom you're going to get out of this crowd.
Probably more than you think.
Well, in my senior year, I was working a drive-in theater down here, and I moved in with Annabelle and Woody, and I started coming here to church. It was 1950. I came here for quite a while, and I was in the youth group with Helen Brown was the youth director then, and we usually went somewhere every once a week, and I always went with them.
Dorothy, you started at the other building, right?
Yes, I did. But I was a teenager, and I didn't move my membership until we came here. And Annabelle and Woody started coming here at the same time I did. But he didn't come until...
See, I was in the service, and then we got married, and we lived out of Shepherdsville, and then we bought a house down here on Manor Park, Bashford Manor, isn't it?
Manor Parkway.
Manor Parkway, just, the straight right across. And then I joined here. And see, we used to rabbit hunt back over, not too far over, right here in the neighborhood, and over right next door. It was just a big field. When we moved here, that was a big cornfield. That whole thing was a huge cornfield. We've been here for a long time. We really have. And it's been
been a good time.
When we came here, there was like 400 or 500 people. It was.
In this room?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
It
was filled.
It was filled. But see, across the street, there wasn't even any houses. And it was, but all the people, GE had just been built, and all the people come flocking in from out of the country to work at GE, and they all was just like us. They went to a little country church somewhere out in the country, and when they got down here, they looked around, a Baptist church. And here they came. And you had people that could do anything, Just when you got that many people to pick from. They were really a great bunch of older people, and you had the people that, well, I'm going to say that operated the church, that
They worked in the church.
that did all the stuff. We just had some really great people, and it just seemed like we
were a family.
We moved in from the country, and all these other people moved in from the country. And and we all went to little churches, and we all got here, and it was like she said, it was just a family of people that really, anything that needed to be done in the church, you had 12 people who said, all right, I can handle that. And you just had all those people, but everybody was just kind of like your smaller church. It was like a smaller church, really. Where everybody spoke to everybody and hugged on everybody, and it was just they were just people that moved in. The majority of us was just people that moved in from out of the country. We weren't people that lived here. We came when all this stuff started happening around, and they were they were all really, really good people, really nice people.
Oh, the
Probably so many.
Tharps and Ruth and Elmer Vogel. I worked with Ruth and with the children, and we had a group they were about 10 years old, and we would have a program, and sometimes we would all sit on the floor. Sometimes we would have a tent, and we would have a program, and I would do it one Sunday, and she would do it the next, and we took turns like that for I don't know how long. I really enjoyed being with the little ones, and I worked with the children's, and I worked in the fixing the food for the people that worked in Bible school. I would always work in the kitchen for that. We had 30-some babies in the baby beds when I was in the nursery. Me and Annabelle worked together in the nursery.
And back then, though, we had so many children that, you know, everybody worked with them, because I worked in Bible school and taught Sunday school some and all that, because you had to. I mean, it just had to be done. You know, people just had to do all that. And I got this one story I need to tell. Me and Janice Causey was in Sunday school. We had this, Janice run that year she was telling the Bible in Bible school, the Bible story, the day that they was having or whatever, and that was her responsibility. But that year I was working, we had about 7 or 8 or 10 boys, I don't remember now how many they were, but they were pretty rowdy. Well, you have boys, and they were then 10, 11, and 12-year-olds. And I was kind of the gatekeeper, you know, kind of keep things in hand mostly. But anyway, at the very end, the last day we had Bible school. All the boys, she had her Bible thing, and she said, you know, she said, anybody got any questions or anything it wants? And this, and you know, the boys, you don't think, they're not paying no attention. They don't know what's going on around here. But anyway, this boy put his hand up. He said, I got a question. And she said, what? He said, now, a lot of these stories, she says, any of those stories really true? and she said, well, you know, yes, it's what's written down and all. But, and I'll never forget, it kind of started when he asked that, and she said yes, and then they wanted to know a specific question about it. You know, well, what about this? And next thing you know, all them boys was all involved in a pretty good conversation about it. And I told her, we were just, after they all left, we were just kind of standing there, and I told her, I said, see, we've been thinking that they pay no attention to nothing that's going on here. But they really, well, it's just that it's just like you and I, you go to something, you don't think you're going to like it, but the next thing you know, you're involved. But they were asking pretty good questions, and all I just thought, you know, sitting there in Sunday school and all, you don't have no idea what's going on in their brains. Back then, I did the sound and the lights and everything, and back then, though, it was so ancient. You know, you had them big snakes that you had to run all your cameras and, all of your microphones had to be individuals and everything. We had all these trophies. We had softball teams here at church and basketball teams, and we won a lot of trophies. And back then, they used to have softball tournaments here in Louisville from like the East Coast over to here, to the Mississippi or something. There'd be 64 teams come in here and play, and from all over the country. And we was one of them. We were good enough to represent this area. And one year out of 64 teams, we was fourth when it was all said and done. Like Howard Thorpe, and who else? Thorpe and Chenander, Gettle, and all those guys was in the church. Well, now, Thorpe's, his sons was like my sons played. And when you're playing tournaments, you just play till you lose. And, you know, some nights you'd go play this. If you win now, you play 2 hours from it. And I know one night we were sitting out at Middletown. It was almost 1 o'clock in the morning. That Howard Thorpe and a bunch of us old guys from church was all sitting there watching our kids or grandkids playing ball. I mean, it was neat.
Larry DuBois did a lot of good for this church.
Well, but he's the one that kind of brought that together. You know, I mean, he kind of helped it along from the pulpit, and you know, and just got people seeing things. Well, maybe it don't have to always be this way. And he really did great.
I was always here. I mean, for everything. I worked in the nursery. I worked if they needed somebody to fix food in the kitchen, I would do that. And I was in my Sunday school class. I was president of the class
for
100 years, seems like. And we would have class meetings, and we would go to Roxy's house for Christmas dinners.
Well, I really liked myself. I liked the people that was so, well, it wasn't that they were just so friendly, but they were people just like us. You know, I mean, we were all...
They were good Christian people.
But see, back when we came 60 years ago, 70 years ago, everybody kind of depended on everybody. You know, I mean, you didn't mind ask your neighbor to help you do anything, or if you got a tool but people don't do that anymore. Now, it's like me, and I don't know that guy over there. And I don't know how we get around that. We're all in this thing together. You just never know the influence that you're having.